What's up, guys, and welcome back to the G-Red Show. I'm G-Red. We got to talk Barcelona today. I want to touch on the Rayo Vallecano match, what we learned a little bit from this match. We got to talk about what Xavi said after the match, and I guess what Deco and Laporta are saying in regards to the new manager, whether that's Xavi or somebody else. And then there's some news about Joshua Kimmich. It looks like he just spoke to the press, and he was quoted saying something about his future, so I want to touch on that too. When we look into the Barca versus Rayo Vallecano match, it's hard to say what did we learn, what did we notice, because yes, they won 3-0 pretty comfortably. Yes, they officially got second place in La Liga, which is good for the Super Cup, Champions League, and Copa del Rey, but it just doesn't seem like we can really give a fair representation and accurate measurement of what we saw in the players, because it's not like it's a huge match, second to last game of the season. But what I will say is, and I know it wasn't a huge match, but Pedri, I think what he accomplished, the 2 goals, I think that was great for his confidence. Now, the first goal he scored was a little lucky, but he took a nice touch and shot with his left foot, found the net. Good for his confidence. And then I will say on the second goal, he made a great run. That's the type of stuff we want to see. Get Pedri in that role that allows him freedom to go forward because he's so creative. It was a great run. It was a perfect pass. I think that was Araujo who played that ball. So, the way he took that down one touch, shot it pretty easily into the net. That was great from Pedri, and it was great for his confidence. I think we need to see more of this from Pedri. I love him in this free role where he has a little more ability to push up and play forward. I like it a lot. And I will say, that's probably the main point that I wanted to take out from this Rayo Vallecano match. And when we look forward into next season, more about Pedri is, I think with the injuries that he has, right? Him and Frankie are the 2 players where it's like, if you're going to get rid of a midfielder, I feel like it's going to be one of those 2. Now, Frankie obviously is probably more ideal because he's older and he carries a higher salary and, definitely can get a lot of money for him, as you could for Pedri. But I think if Barcelona is going to move off of anyone, it's going to be Frankie. Now, I'm not 100% sold. I personally still feel like he's going to stay. But when I really look at Barcelona, if they can fill that CDM void and get a real CDM, and I think if you lose Frankie de Jong, I don't think you're in that bad of a situation, especially if they brought in like Bernardo Silva too. And then you have Gundogan, Fermin Lopez has shown a lot of promise, and then Xavi and Pedri. Now, my thing with Pedri is, I think for next season, I don't want to say he's going to be a super sub, but I would play him almost in that way. I don't want to see him get hurt. I just feel like I can see him getting injured in the Euros. I don't know if Spain is in the Paris Olympics, and if so, if he's going to be playing in that. I'm sure they would use him if they could, but I don't like from a playing all the time standpoint. That's my other criticism I forgot to mention about the match against Rayo Vallecano is why was Lamine Yamal, I know this is off topic, why was he playing the full 90 minutes? Why is he on the pitch? He should have been off in the 60th minute. The fact that we have our youngest players starting every match, playing all the time. Lamine Yamal, he could get hurt too. He's literally the most productive player and consistent player for Barcelona. It's crazy. And he's 16 and you want to keep him on the pitch in a match that doesn't matter that much, that you're already winning comfortably. You know you're going to win after you scored your second goal. Why is he still on the pitch? That's my other complaint. Sorry, I know that was off topic. Him and Pedri in the Euros, they're going to play. They have to be limited. Even in the Euros, I know you have to win, but I hope that their time is limited. There's enough good players in the Spanish squad. I don't know what the official lineup is, but I know they have Nico Williams, Alvaro Morata, Ferran Torres, Oyarzabal. They have Rodri, Pedri. I'm sure Gavi's not playing. Fermin Lopez could play. Zubamendi, Gerard Moreno. There's a lot of good players in that squad, so there's enough talent where they could at least rotate in and out. And then moving into next season, I really want Pedri to come off the bench for most matches. If you're going to start him, great. Take him off in the 50th minute because we can't afford Pedri playing all summer in the Euros, playing in the Olympics, not having much of a break, and then playing next season all the time. We cannot afford that. They have to do the same thing with Xavi. It looks like he's not going to be ready till like September, October maybe. Same situation with him. Limit his minutes. Both of those 2 should 100% be on a minute count. If Lamine Yamal is completely healthy and stays, then fine. You don't have to worry about it as much. He should still be limited to an extent, but we should not have 3 of our youngest and most promising and talented players playing every single match all the time. It's going to get worse and worse and worse, and especially with Pedri, who's always injured, you can't afford to have this happen. Barca has to prioritize the health in the physicality of these players. They have to make sure they don't get injured because this is going to kill their future if these three players don't stay healthy. After the match, I guess there were some boos in the crowd. I think some were like booing Laporta's name, and Xavi came out and kind of stated that, hey, we're in this together. It's a tough situation. It's a nasty situation, but we got to stick together. He didn't like, the fans doing that, booing players, and I think Xavi just has to realize it comes with the territory, dude. If you don't like it, then don't be the manager. People are unhappy with the circumstances and the situation that the club is in. It's been a very disappointing year. It's been a trophyless season. I would like to say Barcelona fans are pretty good. Now, I'm not there. I don't know what they're doing in Spain. I'm not seeing what they're doing at the matches. But from what I see all over the media, they're a pretty supportive club for the most part. So, I think he has to just take that with a grain of salt. And, it comes with the territory. But it looks like Laporta and Deco, there's some conversations being had about wanting Xavi to be the next manager, but it looks like there's been some words. I think from Deco, he stated that Rafa Marquez would be a possible solution for Xavi if he were to move on or if they sacked him. And then the other candidate that I could potentially see moving to Barcelona is Tuchel. And the reason being is I know he's not going back to Bayern. Again, Champions League semifinal this season with Bayern. Did they lose to Real Madrid because of him? I just think it was just, I don't even know, what to say about that. Bayern should have won. But, decent Champions League season with them. And then wins the Champions League with that Chelsea squad against Man City. At least if he went there, he's had success and experience in the Champions League and on the big stage. And he is someone that's been a manager for top clubs for a good amount of time. So at least you have that experience. And maybe he brings some of his tactics to the club that work well. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm against it, but these are the few options I think Barcelona has at the moment. Now, last, I briefly want to touch on Joshua Kimmich. There were a few reports going about, and he touched briefly on his future. He said, I guess there was interest from Madrid, but at the same time, I feel like Madrid, along with City, and PSG, they're almost interested in every potential up-and-coming or big-name player. I don't think he'd be going to Real Madrid. They're already set with their midfielders. But he said it's an honor that Real Madrid and Barcelona have showed interest in me. They're clubs that have a lot of history. They're great clubs. But he said before I can talk about my future with them, I need to discuss my future with my management and with Bayern. So basically what I gathered is there's definitely some conversations that he has to have with Bayern about his future and what he wants to do. I didn't get a feeling that he was ruling out Barcelona. And I didn't get a feeling that he was totally ruling out his future at Bayern Munich. With the continued rumors of him leaving Bayern for the last year or two, and especially Bernardo Silva leaving Manchester City for the last few years, I think on some level there has to be some truth to these rumors. And I think we're definitely going to see both of those players out of their current clubs, if not next season, the season after, 100%. So in a year's time, if they're not at Barcelona this upcoming season, or a different club, they will be the season after. That's my thought. So I don't want to say it's good or bad news about Kimmich, just kind of what we're hearing. So it looks like we have a little more time to wait until he has those conversations with Bayern. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you think about Pedri and his performance against Rayo Vallecano? Not of him and Frankie de Jong. If you had to choose one to stay at the club, who would you choose? I think most of us would say Pedri, due to him being a little younger. He does have the injury problem, but I think if Barcelona works it right, he could be more of a super sub for the next year, work on his injuries, and make sure he gets as healthy as possible to mitigate all those injuries. And then what are your thoughts on the Barcelona management situation? Who do you want to see as manager next season? If it isn't Xavi, who do you think we could get? And then finally, what are your thoughts about Kimmich, Bernardo Silva, and our chances on getting those two players, or either or? Let me know your thoughts down below, and I hope to see you guys back here next time on the G-Red Show.